So glad to have a supportive crowd. Aloha ahi ahi, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to you. And welcome to a great evening of Talk Story. And if you don't know what Talk Story means, it is a local term that we've used over the years to explain how we pass on traditions, how we pass on stories, lessons, knowledge, myths, and all kinds of great information from one generation to the next. And in Hawaiian history, we've relied heavily upon mo'olelo, which is the sharing of stories from our elders and on through the next generations. So please give a round of applause for Turtle Bay Resort in perpetuating the art of talking story here in Hawaii and being committed to having a Talk Story evening here at the brand new Surf of the Bar. And I'd also like to thank Jody Wilmot for making that a big part of her campaign here at Turtle Bay to perpetuate the art of Talk Story. So I thank you guys for that very much, and you can give her a round of applause as well. And you've known Turtle Bay has gone through a new wave, a new branding of the resort. And in the previous 38 years of existence, I think we finally found the right brand, the right owners and operators to carry us through the future. So thank you very much to those folks who have made it happen, and they're here with us tonight, a lot of them. And now on to, by the way, my name is Rocky Cannon. I host many events here at Turtle Bay and all over the North Shore and into different parts of the world as well. And I'm honored tonight to have a very special edition of Talk Story. We have one of the most dynamic athletic teams, in my mind, ever assembled together under the tutelage of Mr. Robbie Nash. You guys give it up for Team Naish. And tonight we have Casper Steinfath on the far stage left here. We have Noah Janella, right there squeezed in nice and tight and comfy. They might even like reach into each other's hands and do claps like that. And of course we have Kai Lenny joining us as well. And we have Cody Kerbox sharing a throne with, of course, the King of Nash, Mr. Robbie Nash. And we're going to start tonight with a video, a clip of the whole entire Team Nash ripping it up on our big screen here. So enjoy that for the first few moments.
The Nash team is like the greatest thing I think out there. We have a great group of guys and girls. We're all around the same age, and I think it's a really positive thing because we all come from different parts of the world, and we bring this energy where we just keep pushing each other and feed off each other.
Talk about an amazing group of individuals. Everyone is very talented. They're at the top of the sport, and beyond all that, they're just great human beings. And the best part is we all get along and we all really enjoy each other's company, and that makes for an amazing team atmosphere.
I went to California for the first time. That was my first overseas event. That's where I met all the boys, and yeah, it was sick. We just all clicked. They're all super cool and so easy to get along with.
Is that the same one as in California?
No, this is Nui.
That's a funny thing because we travel all around the tour together and we're some of the best friends, but when we're on the water, everything that matters is just making it through the heat.
You find a lot of heats where you're either with your friend or your teammate. You just try to, block that out, and when you're in the water, it's just, who is going to get the best waves and surf the best, and then when you come back to the beach, you're still teammates, so.
We've got a really good bond, and everybody really kind of has everybody's back, and instead of competing just for yourself, when it comes down to the whole, family part of it, just have this tight group from all over the world.
Hey, you know what we should do? We should do tug of war.
Oh, between Kai, everyone rip them apart.
It's really cool because everywhere we go in the world, and we might have a team member that is from one specific place that we go to, and so it's always kind of like the meeting zone for the team is at that individual's house. And here on the North Shore, Noah Janella, we've been hanging out at his house and, you know, causing mayhem and having a lot of fun.
Oh. This thing was sick yesterday.
Everyone from Naish has been over, a lot of the guys staying at my house, so it's actually, this contest has been taking a little while to get underway. So it's been, I feel like we've been on a little surf trip, even though I'm at home. But yeah, we've been scoring surf, taking out the canoe, doing all kinds of fun stuff, and I almost totally took out of the contest.
It's a constant good time, and so far, I would say the highlight of this entire trip's been hanging out at his place with the whole team and basically just knuckleheading around, and keeps the mood light. And then I think once the horn blows on the day of competition, we're all willing to put our mind back into what we need to do.
We have, you know, good racers and surfers, and I think just as a team, we're just, you know, try to keep taking over.
It would be good to see Kyle, Cody get a title, or any of the boys really. But yeah, hopefully we can keep up the good results and one of the boys keep winning.
I think for Naish it's so important just to have a rounded team. Like, we're not just racing, we're not just surfing, we do everything.
I think you can expect out of the Naish team this year because everyone is really hungry and willing to put their body on the line in order to achieve, you know, their goals, their dreams, and their desires. The team to watch this year is going to be Team Naish.
Any of the boys really, but yeah, hopefully we can keep up the good results and one of the boys keep winning.
I think for Naish it's so important just to have a rounded team. Like, we're not just racing, we're not just surfing, we do everything.
I think you can expect some great things out of the Naish team this year because everyone is really hungry and willing to put their body on the line in order to achieve, you know, their goals, their dreams, and their desires. The team to watch this year is going to be Team Naish.
And not to take anything away from these guys at all, but I think we could do like 4 more talk stories with all the other guys that I've seen on that video of like who makes up Team Naish. And you guys have a really, really strong team. Let's rewind a little bit and hand the mic over to Robbie, if you can, Cody. And Robbie, if you could talk a little bit about, you know, how your legacy started, you know, in windsurfing, and where you transitioned into kiteboarding, and it's brought you all the way to stand-up paddleboarding in 2014. And give us a little bit of maybe history and up to speed.
So I think it would take too much time because I've been doing it an awfully long time. I started windsurfing in 1974, so that's a long time ago. And
that's 30 years, man.
Started competing right away, and 40 years ago. So yeah, I started competing right away. Did my first World Championships in the Bahamas in 1976, and kind of doing the same thing ever since. You know, windsurfing has been an amazing sport for me. It's given me an incredible amount of opportunity, great lifestyle, really good business. And then in 2000, first line of kite surfing products. So we were the first company that took the inflated strut technology and licensed it from a French guy named Bruno Lagagno. Everybody thought we were crazy. The rest of the industry thought I was nuts, and you know that I had abandoned windsurfing and kite surfing was never going to go anywhere. And obviously it did. It's an awful lot of fun. It's a great sport, great complement to windsurfing, and it was, you know, a good business decision as well. And we're still very much into both windsurfing and kiting from a business standpoint. Mm-hmm. And 1998 was our first year commercially selling stand-up product. We had several years where we were trying to distribution network that it was going to be something more than just a Hawaii-based, you know, Maui thing. Yeah. And they just couldn't wrap their head around it. But we finally launched grew and learned, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a Puno High School graduate. I didn't go to college. None of my guys did. Some of my engineers did. But, you know, we're doing what we love, and we're building products that we want to ride. And it's been a very, very slow path over the last 20 years since we've been in business. A lot of mistakes, a lot of lucky decisions as well. But it's been a very, very gradual. And we were never the biggest, and we never wanted to be the biggest. You know, we just wanted to make good products that basically we could ride. And if other people wanted to buy them, awesome. But that wasn't the priority. And, cool. You know, now it's obviously grown quite a substantial business. You know, we're in over 60 countries, and we have over 1,000 products if you take all our spare parts and all the things for the different sports. So it's a lot of stuff.
Right.
But I'm still in my head an athlete more than a businessman.
True that. All right. So, Casper, we're going to shoot over you, my friend. Everybody, he is from the great surfing nation of Denmark, mind you. Yes. We put DK next to his name, and it's not because Dakine, like we're like, oh, he's from Dakine somewhere, I don't know. Like, it's from Denmark. And Casper, how did you first ever hear or see Robbie Naish, this living legend over here? Switch it on there. There you go.
Got some mic. Here we go. Well, it's kind of funny because, you know, coming from Denmark, it's the great surfing nation. No, it's not. It's an emerging culture. It's the beach culture is very young there, and I was fortunate enough to grow up as a surfer. I windsurfed a little bit, but it was never what I did the most when I was a kid. So it was really funny when it came around with stand-up paddling, and I began doing that when I was like 14 years old. And honestly, I didn't know who Robbie Naish was. I came as a surfer, and I went to this stand-up paddle event in Hamburg in Germany, which was the premier SUP World Cup at the time. And I just was curious. I was a surfer, a young kid that wanted to know more about this emerging sport, and that's where I was fortunate enough to run into Robbie and the whole SUP scene at the time.
And Noah Janela, you grew up here in Hawaii, just like right down the road. In fact, he is Noah Janela, that fella from Kavela, which we've dubbed him over the last few years. And Noah, what was your first impression or first memories of Robbie Naish?
Memory? Who's Robbie Naish? Nah, I just messing with Robbie. He has a good humor, but for me, I came into stand-up probably not as early as some of these guys here, but growing up on the North Shore, I seen a lot of people doing it, and of course, you get into a sport, and naturally, you kind of got to pick a couple people to look up to, and for sure. You know, at the forefront of the sport, you got guys like Kai, but also, you know, guys like Robbie, and you got, you know, Brian Kalana, all those guys. So Robbie definitely was, you know, at the time I was never riding for them, but just, you know, someone I looked up to in the sport, and fortunate enough to now ride for Robbie's company. So it's cool.
Cool. Right on. And I also just want to say welcome to all of our viewers joining us on watermanleague.com. We are filming live tonight. We have a few cameras around, so if you guys want to catch this talk story again, joining us here, anything you might have missed or you want to watch again, you can watch that on watermanleague.com. And for you, Kai Lenny, you are one of the original Naish team riders, and probably have maybe of the crew, a couple of you have some of your earliest memories involving Robbie Naish.
Yeah, I've known Robbie my entire life. Since I think, you know, my parents actually knew Robbie before I was even born, and that's super cool. I, you know, just grew up idolizing Robbie as like your little Grom, and when I was really into windsurfing and stuff, you know, that was someone who I there was only one sponsor that I wanted, and that was to be on Naish. I had so many opportunities growing up to be on different brands and could have easily gone on them, but it was like I was so hard-headed and so stuck onto, the brands that I wanted to be sponsored by. And the first one I wanted to be sponsored by was Naish, and fortunately enough, I, was able to join the team at a really early age. I think I've been on the team now for over 12 years. It's pretty cool,
Because you're like 14. So.
Yeah. And
today's Kai's birthday, actually. So
I did hear that, actually.
But
15 now.
Continue.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was really cool to, all of a sudden be part of a that was emerging into other sports that, I really was getting into. When I joined the team, windsurfing was very prominent, and then kiting was kind of in its infancy at Naish. And then, when stand-up came around, I was already doing stand-up paddling since a really young age, and it was cool to all of a sudden be right there when, Naish and Robbie and, everyone over there was starting to, develop and, do all the things to make stand-up what it is today and all the equipment. So it was really cool, and it was awesome to see all my friends and, friends that I had met from windsurfing and other, going to Denmark and meeting Casper. And, I met Noah because of stand-up. Cody I'd known my whole life, but, to see him join the team and just build the team. And it's so funny because I've always been the oldest, but only by a couple years, and it's been really a lot of fun having a bunch of knuckleheads around, traveling around the world, and just enjoying this incredible gift that we have, and that's all thanks to Robbie for sending us around.
Well, the one thing about Kai that I think a lot of people that only know him from stand-up as obviously one of the dominant figures, if not the dominant figure in the sport, is that he's one of the best windsurfers in the wave riding. He's been doing it since he was, he's not the hugest guy in the world, but he was a really little kid, right? He always looked younger than he was, and I took him to Silt, to the World Cup in northern Germany. Fuck, when was that first time? You were like 13, I think? Anyway, he was really young, and the World Cup in Silt, which just happened a couple weeks ago, it was the 31st annual event. I go every year. Brought him there, and he was really, really good. There was this one day that was absolutely nuts conditions. Remember, they canceled the event because it was so windy and huge. And Kai and myself and one other guy went out. And anyway, his level windsurfing is absolute top-notch. And then in kiting, same thing. Like last year, we had the World Kite Surfing Championship event at Hokipa. Kai, who basically only kites for fun, entered the event and lost out in the final by like one wave. He would have been world champion kite wave rider as well last year. So the roundedness of his abilities on a board of any kind is pretty amazing. It's not just stand-up, but windsurfing, kiting, surfing, shortboarding, whatever. And it's come from being raised on Maui, right by the beach, and having that opportunity every day. Parents that love the ocean and love all of those sports. Both his parents kite surf, windsurf, stand-up, surf, everything. So he's basically been raised that way with all of those sports at his disposal, and through our sponsorship, obviously giving him whatever gear he wants since he was old enough to walk, has made him, just incredibly talented in all of those sports, not just stand-up.
I've seen him shred up some waves right out here, or where are we? Out here, that taking down some WQS shortboard competitors for sure. So your well-roundedness is very noted, and I'm sure if you've known Kai for any amount of time, he's well adapted for any equipment. Cody Kerbox, you're another Maui boy, just like Kai here. And Kai already mentioned that you've known each other for many, many years, since Hanabara days, we call it in Hawaii.
I got to embarrass Cody, though.
That's when you got boogers running under your nose when you're running around at 2 years old, and you guys have known each other for that long. How was it growing up on Maui and having Robbie right there? And what are some of your first memories of Robbie?
Yeah, I've known Robbie since before I can ever remember. It was just same with Kai, just friends and people I knew and people we hung out with, and obviously looked up to them in the water. And I windsurfed a bit just for fun, and always used Naish gear because it was the best. So do that a little bit, and mostly shortboarding. I was more into surfing, and when stand-up came along, it was tried it a few times. It wasn't anything that kind of clicked with me, and until I tried a Naish 8.3. That was actually one of Kai's old boards, and as soon as I got on that thing, I was doing turns that I never thought I could do on a stand-up paddleboard, and from then I was kind of hooked, and it's kind of grown from there, and the boards have gotten better and better, and started racing, and met all these guys. Casper, and I met him in France a few years ago, and Noah, good person to know on the North Shore, and they've become some of my closest friends, and it's just been a good ride. Awesome traveling with them now, and it's been good.
Well, funny thing with Cody, I mean, again, I've known him since before he was born, because I've been friends with Buzzy, who really well. His dad, Buzzy Kerbox, won the World Cup of Surfing in, what year was it?
It was like
83,
4-ish.
Anyway, he was a really good professional surfer. A guy
I've grew up knowing as a legend, of course, in surfing.
One of the first towing guys, Surf Jaws. He was Laird's tow partner before Laird got rich and famous, and basically, but a really good guy, and we knew each other. I've known Cody since he was born, and he was a funny little kid. He he never would wear anything except sweatpants and cowboy boots. like for years.
Yeah.
And when he was like 4 years old, he had this huge crush on my wife, just classic. And unlike Kai, who was at the beach and surfing, and for the longest time, Cody had no interest in the ocean at all. He says, he was surfing first, but man, he started surfing really late. I was like, God, is he ever gonna get into it? And then he gets into it I think you were even past junior high when you fully got into it. Was Kai. Kai was already a pro, and then finally it clicked. And some kids, it just takes longer to click. But the time, the acceleration of his level of ability was so quick, from just getting into it to basically being on the team and doing events. It was unreal. He obviously had the talent inside from his dad. Once he put his mind to it, it was
Once
incredible.
He took off the cowboy boots.
But it took a long time. I was like, sweatpants and cowboy boots. Dude, your dad is Buzzy Kerbox. Come on now. It's so funny.
That's great.
And again, like these guys, he does everything. He's, they're not just wave riding. They're not just racing. A lot of guys specialize. And, they're really good racers. They're not that good in the waves. And then other guys are really good in the waves, but they're not going to be competitive in distance racing, and all of these guys are competitive no matter what you put under their feet, which is really cool.
And so speaking of some of the travels you guys have experienced and the talent that you've specified in, or at least a broad range of talents, we're going to take a look at a focus of their talent, which is wave riding. And they got the opportunity to travel to a wave pool in the middle of the United Arab Emirates. You guys know the UAE in the Middle East. Just outside of Abu Dhabi, there's this place called Wadi Adventure Park. And we're going to check out some clips of a wave pool in the middle.
remember back then all the boys and girls were talking like, how hot is it actually going to be in Abu Dhabi? And I think it just surpassed all our expectations, and we're sweating right now. The wave pool was interesting. Like, I was surprised. Like, it was the same wave every single time, which you don't get anywhere. And I mean, that was perfect for practicing new moves and tricks. And you saw like some of the most progressive surfing ever, I think, on a stand-up paddleboard.
Well, you know, it's hard to imagine a place the way, you know, it is when you haven't even been here once. And, you know, seeing it through video and pictures, it looks totally different. I mean, even the wave pool seemed different than what it looked like in video and all that sort of thing. So it's just definitely surprised me and was better than I could have ever expected.
Oh, it's awesome, you know, the whole scenery down here is just awesome. Being here at Wadi Adventure and, you know, in a wave pool, it's so different from anything else we've done. So, yeah, loving it.
Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out now.
Well, coming to UAE, I of course had my own impressions, and I assumed it was going to be maybe a little bit more closed than what I experienced, because honestly, look, you have beaches, you have people that are welcoming you. It was definitely not the impression I had when I came here, and you have a great city here and in the middle of the desert. Who would have thought that?
Basically, after my shocker in Brazil, both in the wave and race, I was like, all right, I can never let that happen again. This totally sucks. Everything is there. It's all in the mind, and I just got to put my head down and really believe it, and, you know, not give up until it's all said and done.
Do you feel alive? Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Do you feel it?
This place is so rad, and it's so different to all the cultures that I get to experience. When I get home back to Maui, I may look at a few things a little differently. Your mind keeps on getting open, because the only way to experience and truly love it is to try to keep an open mind as much as possible.
Was that Tony Freitas holding him up on the other side? Classic. So now, Robbie, we're going to talk a little bit about the team that you've assembled, particularly these guys right here. You know, let's start with Cody. You've known him for a long time, but the exponential growth in the sport, I think, has been something that I've even noticed in my few years of observation and covering the different events. You know, what is it about Cody that kind of makes him the unique part of Team Naish that he is?
Well, I mean, everybody's unique. You know, the cool thing about stand-up is it's a new sport. You know, most of the first guys that got into it were not exactly spring chickens. You know, they were me and, you know, Dave Kalama and Laird and Brian, all the West Side boys here on Oahu, and guys that were experienced watermen, if you want to,
very experienced,
you know, use the term. In the very beginning, stand-up was definitely that kind of old guy sport, and fortunately, a lot of the guys that were doing it were pretty hardcore, respectable watermen, so you couldn't really diss them, but it was still kind of the old guy sport, and it needed young blood, it needed fresh, you know, young guys to get involved, which fortunately happened very, very quickly, especially in a sport that is new and being able to get a team of guys together that could come in, not necessarily coming from other sports, because that's what happened in kite surfing. Most of the first kite surfers were windsurfers that crossed over.
Correct.
And then after a few years, we got guys that just came into kiting and then took the sport to a whole new level.
Mm-hmm.
And stand-up's the same. The first guys that got into it were crossover athletes like myself from multitude of different sports.
Yep.
And I mean, Kai is obviously a crossover athlete, but these other guys went straight into stand-up for the most part. I mean, Cody had surfed, but at nowhere near the level that he surfed once he got on a stand-up.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool in the beginning, to be able to have a sport where, as a company and as a brand, we were big enough that we could really put the kind of support behind our team that we wanted to give them the opportunities and the support, the amount of money and the equipment that they could really do whatever they wanted with. They could do the tour, they could train, they could practice, and reciprocally they could help us to develop the sport in the directions that they wanted to take it, rather than where we thought it should go. And so with Cody, it's been really cool because he's been an athlete as the sport has been growing and evolving.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them basically same thing, where the gear that they had in the very beginning, granted it was good gear, we've been making composite boards for 30 years, so it's not like we were just learning how to do this yesterday. But the improvement that's come over the last few years especially, even the last year, the last 6 months, it keeps getting better and better and better, and a lot of that is through the riding that these guys want to do, which is different than the riding that you and I will do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the riding is above the lip, where I'm still trying to drive off the bottom as hard as I can. And that's cool. It's neat to be able to support young guys to follow their dreams and create a new sport out of it. This isn't like tennis or golf where it's been around for generations and there's a legacy of guys to follow. These are the first professional
trailblazers
stand-up guys.
for sure.
So they're blazing the trail.
And we're going to take time to talk about each of one of your team riders up here, but I also want to talk to Cody a little bit. You've come from a great legacy of professional surfing in your dad, and you're now starting to carve your own path. How much of that is, I guess, you always, want to be representing your family name well because you have some stats and some things to live up to, and your dad is a great supporter of your current career. But also, when is that time when you enjoy stepping out of the shadow and making your own path?
Yeah, well, it's like Robbie said, it's a new sport, and kind of from the beginning, it was just kind of trying to figure it out and figure out what you could do with the boards. And when when everything started coming along, I'd watch Kai, and he was obviously from the beginning the top stand-up paddler, I would say, winning the first event at Sunset. And I think that's really when I saw him win that. It was kind of, I was like, okay, this is pretty sick. Like there's contests now, and one of my best friends is winning the events, and I want to do it too. So kind of just evolved from there, and just been kind of a progression. And like Robbie was saying, we want to do different surfing, try airs and do spinners, and as well as try to go off the bottom as hard as we can, and just kind of mix it up. But it's been been kind of fun.
What does your dad think of you kind of going into this new sport, carrying that great Kerbox surfing family name?
Oh, I think he's been enjoying it for sure. He's definitely supported it from the start. And like Robbie said, I wasn't didn't really click with me for surfing for a while, and he never forced the issue or anything. It was whatever I like to do. I'd play baseball and basketball, and I was always athletic, and sports were always my favorite thing. And so when I clicked with surfing, I think he was pretty stoked. And as he did stand up in the early days as well, and he was the one who got me cut a kayak paddle in half and glued a PVC tee on it, and threw me on one of his soft tops, and that's how I started it. So I think he's definitely pretty stoked that I've kind of followed the path of being an ocean athlete, and it's great having him there to support me.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys, give it up. Anytime you feel the urge to applause. Noah Janella, our fellow from Cavella over here. North Shore, born and raised, to my knowledge, I believe so, right, Dad? Yeah, yeah. And like yours truly, so I definitely got a vibe with you there. It's a good vibe, being from the North Shore. Obviously, a surfing capital, something that us kids growing up here on the North Shore are going to naturally gravitate to. But Robbie, I'll start with you actually a little bit about Noah. Is how did you come to find this young, talented fellow over here?
I chased him down.
I believe it now.
Yeah, I mean, Noah's a little bit different because he's from Oahu. I knew his dad a little bit. Early on we had mutual friends when both of us were a lot younger, and I hadn't seen him in years and years and years. Didn't even realize that Noah was his son at first. And he was actually already getting supported by the team before I met him. I'm not micromanaging 1 or 2 years if you do it right. I mean, I turned pro in 1981 out of high school, and I never looked back. And
right.
If you can make it work, the lifestyle is incredibly fulfilling. It's awesome to be able to wake up in the morning and kind of do what you want to do. And Kaiser got that in his head. Cody clearly sees it. I think Noah, same thing. Anyone that can get out on tour and actually get paid to go and do what they love to do.
As Robbie said, his handpicked, he does have folks that help him run the business and run the team. So who was it that gave you the nod?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, for me, getting into stand-up was just kind of, I did it when I was in high school, and it was a fun thing to do. And I was lucky enough to start off with, some really great mentors and people who get me in the sport. Todd Bradley, Brian Kilana, those guys took me in and showed me, the opportunities in stand-up. And it was great, and I was on C4 for a couple of years. And then, I got to travel around the world and meet people like Kai and Cody and really just got a little more serious since I was in high school at first, just having fun with it. But then I thought, hey, I could maybe make something of this. And I was traveling a lot of places and just hanging with Kai a lot. We were kind of, I don't know how it ended up really, but we just started hanging and the opportunity with Naish came up, and I figured, what a cool opportunity to ride some of their boards and to be, I don't remember how it really came down, who it really was that put me onto it, but Kai definitely put in a good word, which was cool, and I'm stoked how it ended up.
That's always an interesting dynamic too when you're in professional sports and you do have to trade teams, and you're a young guy and you feel a sense of loyalty, but also you have to envision some opportunity. So how do you feel with your choice so far?
Well, I couldn't say I'm not stoked to be on Naish. This is such an awesome company to be involved in. And for sure, the switch was tough. C4 for me was awesome, too. It was great. Just how it all worked out. At the time, Naish was making, the top-of-line race stuff and the top-line surf stuff. And, C4 is still, making some great equipment. And really, you look at it, there's a million brands out there that are killing it. But
right.
At the time, I just had to make the call, and I'm stoked to be, able to travel around with this crew of people, and I'm happy with where I'm at right now.
That's great. Right on. And from left field, we have this team rider, Robbie, that somehow made his way onto Team Naish. And Casper, you've kind of explained a little bit for migration to stand-up paddleboarding and surfing and racing, but how does a guy from Denmark get picked up by one of the top brands born and bred out of Maui, Hawaii?
Well, that's a good question, Rocky. I ponder it myself a lot of times. And, I've been fortunate enough to have a family that's been very engaged in the water. And they put me in the water when I was a very small kid. And my dad is from California, and he was a surfer all his life. and he just got me into surfing. And you know, I surfed a lot, and stand-up paddling came around, and I was just really fortunate that it happened, because it's given me over time all these great experiences across the world, and it's given me the introduction to this great crew right here and this great world of stand-up paddling. And so I got to meet Robbie first time in Germany back in 2009, and it was a great step for me. It was a mentor I met, it was a friend, and he introduced me to this world of fun, and it's I couldn't be more stoked for this.
Well, I think
Robbie,
as
a little bit
well,
about
you know,
Casper?
people don't realize how big board riding is in Europe. You know, it's like windsurfing. Germany was always the biggest market in the world. There were hundreds of thousands of windsurfers in Germany and France and Italy and Spain, and to this day they're still the biggest markets for windsurfing and kite surfing. And now the stand-up market in Europe has already surpassed the U.S. domestic market if you take all of our European distribution combined. The U.S. is still the biggest as a single country, but Europe is huge, and they've got, like, I was just in Silt, Germany last week, again, like for the event that I told you about, and surfing and stand-up, but especially just surfing, is huge there. You know, the German surfing championships held in Silt, you know, because Germany has the North Sea coast. You know, it's when it gets onshore and sloppy, crappy beach break, mush burgers, there's like 100 guys in the water surfing. And this is on this little island that you have to take a train to get to, you know, a car train, that are out there surfing. Denmark, where Casper comes from, a place called Klitmøller. They call it Cold Hawaii. And this is in the far south of Denmark, again, on the North Sea, just up the border from Germany. And most people don't even realize there is an ocean there, but yeah, they get really good waves. It's stormy surf the vast majority of the time, but what you can do is you get big fronts, like a big westerly wind, and then when the wind switches and turns east or southeast, the swells, after it passes, the swell will stick around for a day, sometimes even longer. Yeah. And they get good surf. Wow. You know, kind of like East Coast style surf, like New Jersey, places like that. Yep. So for us, it's really important to have top European competitors in kiting and windsurfing, but especially in stand-up paddling, where clearly the growth potential of this sport, not so much in the waves. I mean, everyone in the world wants to be a surfer. Not many people can. The image of that is super important for us as a brand, being Hawaii-based and with my background. And we have to have the best guys in the world. But the racing side is what's huge. You get hundreds and hundreds of guys showing up at an event in any country over there. And Casper right now is the top European. You know, he's built his way up over the last few years to get there. But that's super competitive because he's got Olympic canoers chasing him. And, you know, all these crossover athletes coming from a lot of different sports. Guys don't wave ride. They're not interested in coming to Maui and surfing. They're training every day in long distance stand-up paddling. So for any of these guys to be competitive with that kind of committed racing athlete is pretty awesome because, you know, racing is fun, but it's almost a necessary evil. They'd all rather go wave riding every day if they could, but it's nice to have that balance and the challenge and, you know, to be able to adapt to the different conditions.
Well, and I think, just Casper, you're going to add something too, but I think that the racing part of it being so objective as it is has a great shot for Olympic presence.
No, guarantee 20.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff. I think that's one thing about Europe. There's so much water and there's so much enthusiasm, even in the middle of the continent. Like Germany, you don't need the ocean to go have fun, and then that's the cool thing about stand-up is it transfers this surfing image even to the lake, to the river, to the fjord. Stand-up has this great appeal also for an Olympic presence in the future as well.
Right.
And it's kind of shocking, like racing against Olympic canoeists and crossover athletes, because it makes us get on our toes and push ourselves. And also coming from a harsh climate, like it's not easy to be a stand-up paddler in the northern climates. We're like the same as Alaska. And, you know, it gets cold and it's rainy and gray and you still have to motivate yourself to go out and train sometimes. But you come in with the same feeling of stoke as you do anywhere in the world. And I'm just really, really happy to be able to feel that.
I admire that a lot, actually. That takes a lot to be motivated in those elements and conditions for sure. And Kai Lenny, the Team Naish representative since he could first speak, maybe, and first walk, and was kind of grown in Naish, Kai. And how do you carry that as you go through the sport, and kind of what's your take on being the guy?
I don't know about the guy, but you know, it's really fun being part of Naish because we have so many fun people, you know, involved. Not only the team, but then, you know, all the people behind, you know, the curtain. Basically, people that make what we do easier because we're given the best equipment and given the ability to go to these far-flung places like the Middle East and, you know, go visit guys like, you know, Casper in Denmark, and basically just hit every corner of the globe. You know, I think being a part of the, you know, Naish team it's just really good as, you know, for just me as an athlete, because, you know, all the sports that I do are very, you know, solo, very solitary. It's like you go out and it's all for one, you know, for basically yourself. And so when you could be with a team, like just this last weekend, we competed in the Battle of the Paddle.
Well, I've been to Abu Dhabi a couple of times for the Grand Prix and some other glorious events that were held there. When I saw the Yas Marina for the first time, I thought to myself, man, this is a perfect place for stand-up. You know, it's a beautiful, huge, expansive flat water area, super warm, crystal clear water, and we've got a distributor there that's really active as well. I thought, man, this place would be perfect for an event. Well, the racing side of stand-up paddling is evolving and changing pretty quickly. And if you look at the World Series format with the 12.6 class, you need boards that, you know, are limited in length. They're limited in terms of how narrow you can make them. And they have to be good for a variety of different things. They've got to be good in long distance flat water. They've got to be rideable in choppy water. They've got to be able to be used in and out of the surf. So you need to create a board that is not too specific. You can't carry around 4 12.6s of different dimensions and shapes and take the one out when you get to a location based on the conditions you've got. So we're trying to make a board that is really good all around for everything that they might come against in the Stand-Up World Series Tour. Yeah, the good thing is the end consumer is going to benefit from this because they're so much easier to ride and faster, that the end goal, if you're not Kai Lenny, is a lot more achievable. You know, you're not going to be falling every 50 meters because your board just won't stay upright. And you're going to be able to put a lot more power into every stroke, getting from point A to point B. And at the end of the day, the more power you can keep with as little energy as long as possible is what makes you beat that guy. Well, for the 2015 Javelin LEs, we really integrated the team into the development from the very, very beginning. We were focusing mostly on the noses, on the entry of the water, for the sprints, you know, for really driving the board, accelerating as quick as possible, and then doing a lot of work on the tails and the release of the boards and the widths and balancing out stability with straight line speed. And what we came up with is for sure the best board we've ever had, and at least from what it looks like on tour, the fastest 12.6 and 14 out there at the moment. That's the difference now. When you test on a GPS, you're talking about really small differences, but a tiny difference over 10 Ks is really a big difference. And the biggest difference is the directional stability, and being able to apply 100% power all the time. All else being equal, if the board is stable and wants to drive straight, you can put all of that power and all that focus and all of that energy and concentration into your driving forward paddling power rather than balancing and counter steering. And for us, that was the biggest factor, and why over a certain distance this is so much faster than the old one. Viability. You know, there are times when these guys are going to be riding stuff that we know we can't sell, but that's okay, because we want to give them whatever they need to be able to continue to push the sport and to push their abilities to the top level. Like, you know, the Jaws guns at the we have them in production. We don't sell many because there aren't many people that need a
Jaws board,
a 10-8 Jaws gun, but we got to have it because every single one of these guys, including myself, wants one. On the racing side, there's much more commercial crossover because the racing scene worldwide is very big, even at the elite level, where you've got, you know, a 3,000 euro carbon fiber, you know, 12.6, and we're obviously testing and training and developing closely with these guys. And it's important that we don't do everything here as well, because the conditions that you get in Hawaii are sometimes, they can maybe mask things that go on in the water in other places. And so, for example, last year we flew Cody and, what was you? Kai. Yeah, Cody and Kai. I didn't think you went, sorry. I'm sick.
Right by your side as you watch these guys battle it out. But in and out through the surf, Cody, you're on the World Series. What's your rank right now, and what?
I'm gonna be pushing my hardest and try to get a good result out here. The like you said, the waves are gonna make it very interesting and a lot more fun than just paddling in circles in flat water. So excited to have some waves, and it's always you know, one of the most fun events on the World Series. So definitely looking forward to finishing out the year good.
All right, and Kai, you are also in the top rankings of the World Series on the racing side. What is your rank, and what are you hoping to accomplish in this stand-up paddle World Series final?
Right now I'm ranked second on the World Series, and you know, hopefully retaining that. The title is already won this year, so there's no second right now, but it's good motivation for, you know, the next year. And I love coming to this event because it's in Hawaii, and although it's not on Maui, which is my home island, it's still feel at home here. I don't know, maybe just being in Hawaii in general makes
or
me
being
feel
at
that
Turtle
way,
Bay
right?
Makes you feel at home, yeah.
Yeah, Turtle Bay, exactly. And so, you know, I think my goal here is just to try to win the event, plain and simple.
Yep.
I think that's always my goal. Every event I go into is I want to try to win the event, and I'm sure, you know, all these guys want to do it too, and that's what makes it so entertaining. And when you throw in the waves, and I think we're gonna have the biggest waves we've ever raced in ever, so that's gonna throw a whole nother, you know, thing into there, because really you could be in the lead and then get just destroyed by a wave and come in dead last, like that quick. So yeah, I'm really excited.
All right, Noah Janela, this is your spot here. You grew up literally a couple of minutes away. A big final happening here in a couple days. What are your goals, and what do you hope to accomplish?
Pretty basic goal I have for this coming into this event is not to break a board.
Okay.
It's my first goal. It's very possible, but thankfully we're on Naish boards and they're pretty sturdy. There will be boards broken, I think.
Yeah.
Thrown out there.
Okay.
We can bet money if you guys want, but there will be boards broken in this event. But yeah, I don't know. Just show up and do my best. It's, you know, it's my backyard. It's, you know, I live a mile down the road, so, you know, this is the coast I paddle when I train every day, and you know, hopefully it comes to my advantage, and, you know, just show up on the day and give it my best shot and see how it goes. It should be fun. And, you know, this is the last race of the season, so it's going to turn into the surfing side of things. So, I mean, this is also the last time I get to hang for a little while with guys like Casper and you know, a lot of the other guys from Australia and all these different places around the world. And that's the thing that's special about stand-up is there's really, like, everybody is awesome in the sport. Like, there's so many cool people and great characters. So last race of the season, just enjoy hanging out with some friends and of course go for first, but just enjoy the times.
Right on. And Casper, what ranking are you currently on the Stand Up Paddle World Series, and what do you hope to be accomplishing or finishing at when this finals is all said and done?
Well, right now, I believe I'm sitting in 6th place, and I know that it's really, really close between, I believe it's 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. And it's just going to be really exciting because this event, more than any other, is a toss. Like, anything can happen with the waves especially. And my personal goal is just to have a lot of fun. I've had some great events here in the past. Remember the first year I had a special final along with Kai, and when he won his first world title here, and it was just it was amazing because I was dead last in the race, and I just kept thinking to myself, oh, it's over, but something clicked in my head and said, just don't give up. You never know what the ocean's going to throw at you. And sure enough, when I turned the outside buoy, the set of the day came through. Actually, it happened 2 years in a row. And it just puts you right back up there, and that's the beauty of this event. So, you got to go in there with a strong mind and stay positive. And I'm really fortunate to have my family here with me this time.
Awesome.
And my Naish family here as well. So my mind couldn't be set better, and I just want to finish this year strong, and let's have a lot of fun.
All right, and Robbie Naish, real quickly, what are you looking for in this stand-up paddle World Series final for 2014, ending here at Turtle Bay?
I'm at all year, so I'm stoked to be here and stoked that there's some waves coming as well, because I will definitely not be spending all my time sitting around.
All right.
But I'm excited about it. I think, Cody's got momentum. Kai's always right there in the lead. Casper's been doing great. I know Noah's fired up because it's his backyard, so it's going to be good.
All right, well, that is happening this weekend, Saturday, long-distance racing from Turtle Bay Resort to Hali'ivali Beach Park. Catch that start and finish if you can, but definitely come watch live on Sunday, and we'll have all the broadcast live on watermanleague.com, so if you can't make it here in person, you can always join us online. And racing and the Waterman culture as a whole, as well as Pacifico and Oakley doing a great job for us this year. Naish, you're presenting this year's finals. And also thank you to Mountain Dew, the Kickstart brand that has been so helpful. On behalf of all the Waterman League team, on behalf of Turtle Bay Resort and Surf for the Bar, I'm Rocky Cannon, bidding you a very, very honest and authentic mahalo and aloha. We'll see you this weekend. And the guys will be around to hang out and talk story if you guys want to mix and mingle and cruise. We'll be all around the area here at Surf for the Bar, right up here. Photos, any kind. And also, you guys, hold on. On the count of 3, we're going to sing Happy Birthday to Kai Lenny. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kai. Happy birthday to you. Oh, we got some funny candles sparking up here. There you go. So Kai, 22,
22 today.
Deuce. All right. And you'll see them all competing this weekend. It should be a good fun time. Don't forget, Saturday night we have a movie premiere.